Hello, my name is Nicholas Bermudez, and I will now be presenting Milestone 3 of our CS450 project on behalf of Group 15, which consists of myself, Jerry Bellardino, Thabalt Shazad, and Vishwajit Venkatesh. So, the objectives of Milestone 3 are to divide the project into two parts, to complete the first half, and submit a video demo along with code and a live GitHub page. As for submitting the code, we will be using a zipped file that contains all the files from the source folder that we use to generate the dashboard. As for the live GitHub page, this is the live GitHub page hosted at this repository, and this is where we'll begin the video demo. As you can see, this is what our current dashboard looks like. The 50% that is completed is this bottom half here. The top 50% is the CSV functionality, which is not quite done. Currently, all it can do is receive the CSV file and then pull out the columns. However, in the future, hovering over these columns will each produce their own bar graph. So, if we look at the 50% that we have completed, the first thing we have over here is a line chart, which displays the price of metals over time. If you will notice in the legend, there are in fact 5 lines here, but if you will notice on the vertical axis, they are all in price in USD per pound. This is thus indicative of the significant difference in price between them. This is a line chart, which means it does show trends over the course of time, and for this chart in specific, it's over the course of the last 28 years at most. If you wanted to see these lower price metals more clearly, you have that option. For example, this line here corresponds to gold on the legend, so let's get rid of that. This line here corresponds to silver. Let's move that around. Uranium, nickel as well, and aluminum. If you will notice, what the reason for this checklist inclusion is that it allows the end user to have a significant amount of control over which lines are visible at any given point. And of course, the chart adjusts dynamically. Now, let's say, for example, that you only wanted to see uranium. If you will observe, it has a rather interesting shape, specifically spiking around the years of 2006 to 2008. However, around the years of 2006-2008 isn't quite good enough for most financial analysts. So that's where the slider comes in. The slider gives the end user the option to specify the range of years, the range of data that they're seeing on the chart from 5 years to, again, 28 years. You can choose any range you like. So, if we remember, the spike happened somewhere around 2006-2008, and since the minimum range is 5 years, we will go 2005 to 2010. 2005 to 2010. Now, if you were an end user, specifically of a graph like this, let's say a financial analyst, you would wonder, what's going on here? Why is this spike here and then nowhere else in the uranium price chart? You would begin to ask yourself, what external factors could be influencing the price of uranium in the year 2007? Well, that's where the second visualization comes in. The second visualization is separate from the first visualization because unlike the line chart, which compares metals to other metals, the stacked bar chart compares a metal to itself. If you will notice, the legend indicates that for the default data, it is the price of aluminum versus the price of aluminum adjusted for inflation in the year of 1998. However, if you were an end user going over the price of uranium and you're interested in the year of 2007, you would use this drop-down menu here to choose any year that you like, but specifically the year that you're interested in, 2007. The stacked bar chart will then adjust accordingly and will display you the months of 2007 on the horizontal axis, and on the vertical axis, it will show you the proper units. Now, we are still on the aluminum metal, which is why the units is in USDs per ton. However, the radio buttons allow you to choose from any metal that you like. So, for example, right now it's in USD per ton. If you switched over to gold, the legend would adjust accordingly, price of gold, and so would the vertical axis, price in USD per troy ounce. Same thing for silver. For nickel, it goes back to USD per ton. And finally, for uranium, it adjusts to USD per pound. Now, if we look further into the 2007 graph for uranium, we will notice that, in fact, there is a tooltip that provides us with the information that we're going to need. For example, the month of July had a raw price of $131, but a price adjusted for inflation of $168. If we look over all the other months, we will notice that on average, inflation adds somewhere around $20 to $30 to the price of uranium, which in fact does indicate to any financial analyst or otherwise end user that inflation does in fact affect the price of uranium and would inform their future financial decisions. This is how this dashboard is intended to be used. You would use the line chart to look at the trends over time for any metal that you wanted to see, say nickel, and then if you saw something that interested you and you wanted to look into specifics, you could go down to the slider, get the specific year that you wanted to see. Let's say for this one, it will be 2008. And then you can inspect whether or not the price was affected by inflation, and if it was, how hard it was affected by inflation. All of this information is useful to any end user that might be looking to make an investment in the metals market. This is our presentation for Team 15, and thank you.